Welcome, Erin. I'm so excited to have you on the Tiny Fit Diva podcast. I'm so glad that I get to kind of share what you do. So I'm going to introduce you really quickly for those who don't know you. Erin Clarke is a massage therapist, mental health advocate, and mom of two living here in Dayton. A former ballet dancer and science geek, her passion is to integrate massage therapy as part of mental health care. She's currently building Ohio's first mobile spa on wheels to provide massage and meditation coaching anywhere, which am super excited about.
Yeah.
And I don't think I knew that you were a former ballet dancer. That's pretty cool. Maybe I did. Maybe you told me that before. How long did you dance?
I danced for 7 years.
Wow.
Professional program. Yeah.
That's amazing.
As much as I was in high school. Like
wow.
hours of the week. It was a lot.
Yeah. You said semi-professional. Anytime you do like a sport or an art that is it takes so much of your life, but it's so much fun at the same time. It's so fulfilling. That's so cool. So really quickly, I just have to share with everyone who doesn't know you my opinion of you. So beyond your beyond your bio. Okay, so Erin is just amazing. Her massage ability is really incredible. Besides being just a nice person who has a heart for other people, Patrick and I have gone to many, many different places over the course of our relationship. We had our honeymoon at the Ritz in Lake Tahoe, and we went to a spa there. I mean, so we've had like tons of different people that we've gone to different spas, and we're kind of picky. And when I found you, my world was changed forever because I was like, oh my gosh, she's so good. And I hope this will tell you how much I like you, because this funny story I'm going to share real quick. So periodically, Patrick and I really like to get some massages. We'll go to a spa or wherever. And one time a couple years ago, and there's always been the rule that I will get massaged by a girl, and I was like, I want you to always get massaged by a guy. Like I'm like, oh, it just makes me uncomfortable. So we went to this, I was a little more jealous, like in the beginning of our relationship, a little more, insecure. There was a little bit of that going on. So anyways, he booked this massage at this place. I can't remember where it was. It was like maybe 20, 30 minutes away. It was like this spa location that, it's kind of in a nice, like rural kind of area. And he was like, oh, this will be great. This is like a nice date. It'll be like a couples massage thing. So we go in. It was so funny. He set it up ahead of time. We go in. We're sitting in the waiting room. And all of a sudden, this girl comes out, and she's like, Patrick, I'm ready for you. So first of all, it was weird because it was a girl, right? Second of all, it was weird because she's pulling him alone. Like, this is supposed to be like a nice couples thing. So all of a sudden, I'm like, what's happening? I'm sitting in this room, like, what's going on? He goes in this room. He kind of like looks back at me, So he goes in thinking, oh, they're going to pull her in a minute. Well, he goes in, there's like a divider in the room. So it was really like just going to be him. So he's like, this was supposed to be a couples massage. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm really sorry. So she pulls it open, right? And then the other girl comes and gets me. Well, what had happened was, so this whole time, I'm like there, like the first 30 minutes, I'm like stressed out during my massage, right? I'm like looking over, I'm like, what's happening over there? So it's not relaxing, like at first 30 minutes. So then what happened, I guess, is normally when you go reserve a place in a facility, they ask you, they say, hey, do you prefer a male or a female? So he's always like not had to think about it. When they ask, he'll answer. Well, they didn't ask because I guess really they just had a lot of female masseuses, which is fine. But so it was funny because I was all stressed out like the first 30 minutes. And then it gets better because like at the end, like because he knows what's going on, right? At the end, we're walking out, and so he turns around, and his masseuse says goodbye to him, and she like comes up and gives him this big hug, and he's like, worst move ever, right? It was so funny. So anyways, needless to say, I've calmed down a lot since then. I've adjusted to our relationship. I'm more secure. But what's so funny about it is, so when I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, Erin is amazing. Like, she's so good at what she does. And Patrick had gone through his whole rehabilitation with his back, and we had, gone through the process of healing for that. But occasionally he would still have some issues. And I was like, Patrick needs Erin. Patrick needs to get massaged by Erin. And I like never had like a thought in my mind, like it didn't bother me. And I came home and I was like, Patrick, you need to go to this girl. Like she's amazing. So that just tells you how much I love you. I've come from extremely insecure and sending, laser beams out my eyes to any masseuse that would get near him to, here, come to my house and massage my husband.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So just so the listeners know, Erin is really wonderful. And okay, so I'm going to actually ask you a few questions just so they can get to know you a little bit. So you were a ballet dancer. So how'd you sort of become a masseuse? Like what kind of got you inspired to jump into this career?
Yeah, well, I started teaching ballet when I was, this is 3 or 4 years ago. I started back at my old studio in Columbus. I started teaching. They ran short of teachers and they gave me a call like, hey, you want to teach? I was like, sure. Never taught before, but I trained with them. So I just kind of winged it. And it was absolutely amazing. And so that was my part-time job, was teaching. And then my other job was I was a receptionist at a spa up in Huber Heights.
Okay.
And so I had that combination. And so my kids, my main class was like 12 to 14-ish. And that first year that I taught, at one point or another, everybody was injured. All of them. And I had one girl, she was 14 years old, and she had such bad back problems that they were talking about having her second back surgery. 14. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I was just like, hold the phone here, guys. Like, isn't there anything else that we can do? When they're at that age, they have enough strength to do harm to themselves, to get injured, but they don't have that awareness, that control of their body. Their knowledge of their anatomy wasn't very good. And so that was causing these problems. And so I got really interested in what ways can we address muscle imbalances in active kids in particular, but in everybody, that doesn't resort to cutting them open.
Yeah.
So I talked to the other massage therapists on staff, and asked them, just about their craft, about what they do, how they train, what kind of work they do. And it just felt right. It just felt perfect. And I really wanted to learn more about it. So I went to the same school that most of they went to, the Dayton School of Medical Massage, and it was absolutely incredible. Getting to learn all of that about all the more details about anatomy and physiology and all the different approaches that can be taken with massage, and just the amazing breadth of good that can come out of types of massage therapy. It's been awesome.
That's so cool. It's so neat how that transitioned for you. So when did you know that teaching, that wasn't really the path you wanted to go? And was there a point where you had to sort of let that go, and that was a little painful for you, but you knew that this was a better direction?
I do. I miss teaching still. A lot of it was actually just out of practicality. That same year that I started teaching was the same year that I was pregnant with my first son. And so a commute to Columbus from Dayton was no longer super practical once I had a newborn child. So yeah, that's really what kind of transitioned me out of it. But I don't know. I fell so in love with massage, and it's very, it's almost even therapeutic for me, being able to do this kind of work. It's very meditative. And I get such good results out of it. Teaching 14-year-olds is a bit more high stress.
Sure.
So yeah, I might get back to it one day, but this is definitely what I love the most.
That's so cool. So you had talked about when you went to school and you started learning all these different modalities and all these different things. So you actually are one of the only people I've met that does so many different types of massage, and you're so into, you meet people that do something because they're good at it or because it can make them money. I feel like you do it because you're good at it, it makes you money, and it's really your passion. So when it's really your passion, you can you're like obsessed with learning. And I feel like that's sort of something that you've really latched onto, and you want to learn all about the different types of massage. So can you explain, I know you do cupping, you do ashiatsu. Can you explain some of the different ways that you use those, and what's the difference, and why do you use them?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first main technique that I learned was neuromuscular therapy, because that was what my teacher was trained in, and that is sort of her lens of how she sees things, and that's how she trains people. And I was so lucky to have her as a teacher, because it's a great way to approach the body. With neuromuscular therapy, it starts with assessment. So instead of somebody coming in and saying, oh, my neck hurts, and just getting on the table and we start massaging the neck, we actually stop and we look at where that person is holding in space. We take the time to do that kind of assessment, visual assessment, and actual like movements, like testing, to see exactly where in the body is holding, and exactly which muscles, like single muscles and groups of muscles, need the most attention to get that to realign. And so in that's part of the reason why I'm able to get the results that I do, is because I take that analytical time to see where massage is going to help the body the most. And then when it comes to actually working into the tissue, that's when I get into the ashiatsu, which I love. For those of you who don't know, is actually doing massage with your feet.
Which is pretty cool.
Sounds super weird, but it feels so good. And because you have this broad brush that you get to use, where it's broad, even pressure that can be really deep, but it doesn't hurt like the pinpoint pain like using your fingers does sometimes in tender areas. And so what that does, I like to use that broad starter to kind of warm up the tissue. It kind of tenderizes the muscle, for lack of a better term, to really get it started in the relaxation. And then I use, I call it's dynamic cupping as opposed to stationary cupping, where I use silicone cups to glide over the skin. And that's a form of myofascial release. Fascia is what is between the skin and the muscle, and it also holds the organs in place. And it's a really cool substance. There's not a lot we know about it, but what we do know is that it holds everything where it's supposed to be. So if, say, your muscles are contracted really down in a certain area, and they have been for a long time, we can massage the muscle and reset the muscle. But if we don't release the fascia around it, it's going to go back to where it was before pretty quick.
Okay. Sort of like it snaps it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Container.
The fascia thinks that it's supposed to be in this little ball, and you don't let that stretch, then the results aren't going to last as long. So that's, that's the upper layer. And then, all of those methods are really to accomplish a change in where your body is in space. And so for the people that don't necessarily want to fix anything that day, it doesn't always have to be about fixing things. People who just really need to relax and have a quiet hour and feel good. That's when I bust out the Swedish, the pretty classic light pressure, maybe even some Reiki kind of the stuff. I love acupressure energy balancing just because it's so calming. And so,
explain that really quickly, acupressure. I think you do that at the end, right? Is that where you those little points that you use? Okay.
That is, it's similar to, it's the same points as acupuncture, only we just use our fingers basically.
Okay.
And so there are certain points. I usually just go down the midline to kind of hit the nice chakra points there. But it's just kind of to bring attention to those specific points and to help realign the energy down the middle.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of funny, but it feels very calming.
Oh, we're all about the woo-woo here. So.
Well, then, yes. It's cool, though, because when I do that at the end, I can feel what's stopping, and I'll kind of talk to the body and be like, it's okay, just you can let it flow. And then I actually feel like the wave, it goes like, okay, and then I move on to the next
That's
one.
so interesting to me. Well, you absolutely have an incredible like sense of touch and understanding the body. Because I remember, I think it was the last time I got massaged, I was like, I have this rib that's been popping in and out of place, and so my chiropractor's working on it and everything. And like 2 minutes into the massage, you're like right at the point, and I don't think I even showed you. And I was like, how'd you do that? And so you just said, I just feel. That's what I do. So you figured it out in just a couple minutes, and I didn't even have to tell you what it was. I probably didn't even have to mention I had a rib thing. You would have found it, you know? So yeah, that's really cool. Do you have a excuse me, do you have a modality like preference? Like, do you really enjoy ashiatsu? Do you really love cupping? Or, you know, is there something that you don't maybe get to do as much as you'd like to?
I do. I love ashiatsu. I really do. I've been missing it since I've been mobile. It's a little harder to lug the bars around. But yeah, I love the way that it feels when, like, as I do it, and for the client, it feels like dancing. And so it's very, or even a little bit like yoga, but also doing the therapy and just feeling people's tissues, like developing that same sensitivity in my feet as in my hands. It's so much fun. It really is.
Yeah, well, it probably saves your hands a little bit too. So there's like a win-win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it's got it all.
That's so cool. So you mentioned, not being able to carry it around. Is that something you're going to have in your mobile spa?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
One of the main reasons I wanted to have my own space that I could design and build myself was so that I could have my bars up.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I will say, because you've done all three of those. I mean, you've done the regular massage, you've done the cupping, you've done the ashiatsu. It's all kind of amazing and used for different purposes, and it all feels great. So I will say, I am definitely one of those people that's like, yep, throw it all at me. Do whatever you've got. I love it. I actually asked my chiropractor, acupuncturist the other day, I was like, have you ever done dry needling? And he got all really excited. He's like, I'm going to learn in like the next month. And I was like, I'll be your guinea pig. Not that I think it's pleasant. I just enjoy learning about new things. And if there's something that can kind of help, your body, recover, develop, I'm all for it. So in the process of, preparing for the interview, and you had sent out information about your mobile spa and all of that, I connected with you on Instagram. And so I was stalking a little bit, and I started seeing that you do a lot of like mindfulness work and meditation. And I just loved some of the posts that you were sharing. In fact, this morning I saw on your Instagram, I think you posted it this morning, you said habits are something to be broken. They are time wasting things that we just do. But rituals are something we do that are nourishing, calming things that give us peace. And habits done with loving intention can become rituals. So I love that. And so I wanted to ask you about, mindfulness and your tips on that, and how we can incorporate that, and just kind of share what that means to you, and how you've incorporated that into your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the most basic definition of mindfulness is really just gentle awareness. It's really just being present and open to the now, whatever's happening right now. And those kinds of moments, that sense of mindfulness and presence, they happen naturally, like throughout our lives. And they tend to be our most vivid memories, things that you look back into your childhood and other things, those moments that like feel really good and feel really real. Those were your mindful moments that just happened on their own.
You were really present, enjoying that experience.
Because there's no narration happening. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just purely experiencing the moment. And with enough practice, it is, they tell me, I'm not there yet, but they tell me it's possible to live in that space all the time, to just be completely open and present in your whole life. It just sounds amazing. So that's why I work so hard at it and try to help other people find it too. And so if you're interested in that kind of work, the number one thing that you can do is just find the breath. Any meditation thing that you look into, the first thing they always say is just find the breath, because it's this amazing gift that we have. It's always present. It is nourishing the body. It's this amazing flow, and you have it everywhere. You know, you have it when you're when you're driving, you have it when you're stressed at work. You can always just take a moment, take that one breath, and even just one breath, if you're noticing it, that's meditation. You just meditate. Boom, you're done.
Boom.
Yep.
You just simplified it for everyone. I actually was listening to a podcast the other day from this guy that lived as a monk for a few years, or at least in between his college. Half of the summer he would spend it interning in a big corporation, half the summer he would spend it essentially interning as a monk, and he decided he wanted to become a monk. And then they kind of pushed him out and said, hey, I think you can do more in the world by sharing what you've learned. But anyways, one of the things he said was he was watching this 10-year-old boy monk teaching like these 5-year-old kids. And he goes over, he's like, hey, what were you teaching them? And he's like, well, you know, the first day of monk school basically is learning about your breath, because you have it with you throughout your entire life. It's like the one constant, no matter what changes, you know, if you're anxious or if you're happy or whatever, that's what you have, and that's what reacts to every situation. So being able to control your breath and connect with your breath and, you know, really tap into that aspect of your life, that's like the first thing that they learn at monk school. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a very powerful tool. It's almost like really the only tool you need if you focus on it enough. Like that's really the key to a mindful and meditative life. I use it a lot with my kids, actually. That's come in handy to being a mom.
sure.
So for me, taking a breath, just, you know, even just the one. And, you know, my son, he's almost 3. So there are things that seem pretty insubstantial to us as grownups that are like earth-shattering to him. Like having to put down his airplane coat on is like
right.
life-ending.
Yeah.
So breath. Yeah, we work a lot with the breath in moments like those, and it's amazing to see how powerful that can be. So yeah, that's a great step one. For the next phase of practice, I call this just make it easy, and that is a great way to familiarize yourself with that place of focus and just like pure enjoyment is to practice the things that already make your heart feel good. You know, your favorite song or album or knitting or running, whatever it is that already kind of is that nourishing heart center space for you. Practice that and notice where that place is in your mind and in your heart. You know, the brain has neural pathways that are, you know, pretty literally pathways. It's actual neuron connections that we go down over and over again. And the more you go down a certain neural pathway, the easier it is to go down it again. And so that's one reason why habits are so hard to break. But that's also, we can use that as an amazing tool where if you practice that spot of mindful enjoyment, you know where it is. It'll be so much easier to get back to that place when things aren't necessarily your favorite thing that are happening. It'll be that pathway is right there. You already know how to get there. So yeah, you can meditate while doing your favorite things.
So that's, you know, if you have a habit of negative thinking, for example, it's really tough sometimes for people to get out of that because of what you're talking about. The neural pathways are set. But what's so awesome is that we can reset them, and they are changeable, and that they can completely, you know, be whatever we want them to be. It just takes focus and intention and practice to do that. So one thing, like if somebody's really negative or afraid, even with anxiety and things like that, you can retrain your brain by choosing to think of something different. And what you're saying is really interesting too, because that can be used in therapy in terms of focusing on something that you really have enjoyment with. So when you start to feel anxious, for example, if you close your eyes and go to your happy place, whatever that is, if it's a lake for you or a beach or whatever, or, you know, if it's a physical activity like crocheting, like you're saying, you can use that to kind of calm your anxiety and mentally regenerate that neural pathway. So it's amazing that your body can do that. So cool.
Breaking the cycle. And then sort of my emergency parachute tip is when things are like they feel totally unmanageable, you're freaking out, everything's the worst. Find your feet. When everything is like all up in your brain and it's swirling and cloudy and everything is distress, I go down to the opposite place. Just think about your feet, how they feel in your socks, how they feel in your shoes, how your weight is standing on them, and just take that moment to just feel without thinking, just feeling. And this practice is very grounding. It's great for anxiety. It's great for stress because it is just a complete opposite of being stuck in your head. Go down to the feet.
Literally, physically. I've never heard that before. That's so interesting. I'll have to try that.
You do it when walking too.
Yeah.
Really nice. Yeah. Just like even picturing the bones and everything down there, just like taking a moment to be down with your feet. It's great for breaking the cycle of feeling stress, and it's good meditation practice too.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. I like that tip. Think about your feet.
Yep.
That's really cool. So do you have any, can you walk us through maybe a breathing technique, something where you would focus and center and just something easy that people can incorporate or try to start practicing?
Yeah. My favorite is breathing in the calm. And so when you take your in breath, you imagine it as cooling as it goes into your lungs. It's this cool wave of calm that goes in through the nose and then just releasing out through the mouth without really any other thought to it. Just so breathing in and then out, and actually thinking the word calm and that kind of cool sensation as it flows in. That's one that I really enjoy.
Yeah, no, I like it. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. You know, you'll hear all these people say, oh, you have to count this many times and, you know, but just really, if you're starting with something, just keep it basic, you know, and try to make it a habit, and then maybe you can build from there. So I would love to, because a lot of people listening, this is kind of a health podcast, and obviously massage and meditation and mindset are all part of that. But I'd like to relate it a little bit to food. Can you give maybe a mindfulness practice that people can incorporate around food?
Let's see.
I've seen you share some of these on Instagram, and I really like how you do it. So I wanted to ask you about it.
Yes. My blueberry speech.
Oh, yeah, do that one. Or coffee. I think you did one on coffee, yeah.
Yeah, that was this morning. Yeah, yeah, well, I think mindful eating is really becoming a thing. I think there are books on it now of mindful eating. But one of my favorite practices is just practicing gratitude for food and kind of getting a sense of its history a little bit, just imaginary history. And so, you know, if I'm gonna be making some toast for my kids, I will, you know, feel the bread in my hands, and I will think about who made that bread and where did the wheat grow, and, you know, picture the sunshine on the wheat and how it made its way all the way to my house. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, and you go through all the steps. I mean, in one of your posts, you're talking about, you know, the person at the register that sold it to you and who handled this and who picked it. And, you know, I just think that's so neat to be thankful. And it's such a different perspective when you think about our dieting culture and our restrictive mentality, where it's so focused on the negative and it's so focused on not having this and not doing this, and this is going to hurt me if I have too much of this, versus really focusing on the goodness and the nutrition and the nutrient density and we need food and the benefits that it's giving us. And it's such a much healthier perspective to practice doing that. then it kind of breaks the habit of the other one, which I think is pretty awesome. I love that you do that. And you're talking, I think the one this morning, you're talking about smelling the coffee, like really, really just essentially taking the time to enjoy and appreciate, as opposed to just blowing through your morning and shoving something in your mouth. And but there's another aspect to that too, and that is that the emotion with which we eat our food affects our body's ability to digest and absorb it properly. Yeah. So if you stop and you think about it and you're appreciative, even if that thing that you're eating is less healthy than something else, the emotion with which you consume it, if it's appreciative and thankful and happy and at peace, your body is going to receive that better than if you eat the healthiest thing in the world with a negative attitude, which I find mind-blowing with how much I know about nutrition. But when you learn about the mind and how much control it has over your body, it's just incredible. So it's really important to be positive.
Exactly, yeah. When bodies are in that state of fight or flight, it's like the body literally doesn't digest if you're in a place of stress.
Right.
Waits until later, until you're safe. That's from cave days. When you're out into the world and there's danger, your body isn't going to take that time to process. So if you're stopping and you're feeling safe, you're feeling comfortable, you're feeling appreciative, you're noticing the flavors in your mouth as you're consuming this beautiful food that you took the time to give yourself,
right.
Then you get so much more out of it. I have noticed that, when I stop, I do feel more energized. I get more energy out of what I eat when I take the time to really pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, that's really neat. So, all right, I want to talk about your spa. I'm so excited about this. Oh my gosh. I just think it's the most brilliant thing ever. But I also wanted to touch on your charity and why that's important to you, what it is, how you got involved in that. So kind of you can talk about both or one or the other. Kind of we'll end up talking about both, but whichever you want to talk about first.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll talk about my partnership with South Community first. South Community is a behavioral center here. They are a pretty massive complex. They do a lot of different, they have a lot of different chapters here. They're pretty huge. And so I am partnering with their head of addiction and substance abuse to start integrating massage into their recovery program. And so when I, about, 5-6 years ago, when the heroin problem really started here, I noticed because I had friends that were struggling with addiction, and I have had struggles with my own mental health a great deal in my life, and it runs in my family, and I knew that I have that kind of addictive personality. I could see very clearly how that could be me and how that could really be anybody. There's kind of a misunderstanding about addiction in that, there's that stigma of like, how could you do that to yourself? Like, why couldn't you just say no? Like, why is that even a good idea? But if you've been struggling with different mental health issues, if you've had, I don't know how I want to say this. When it comes to depression, when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to life really just kind of kicking you around, if the right person asks you on the wrong day, you could do pretty much anything. People don't really like to think about that, but it's true. And so I saw that and I felt that compassion there for really everybody that is struggling with depression, with anxiety, and with substance abuse issues. I see a lot of myself in them. And so in massage, I love how it is the most holistic therapy, I really feel, because it's body, it's mind, it's emotion, it's spirit, it's all of it in the present moment. It's an opportunity to really be present with what you're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. And it's amazingly powerful on all of those levels. And so I'm really excited to work with talk therapists, with people who are in these programs to kind of get more into addressing all of it. You know, I am not qualified to be a talk therapist, and I don't want to be. It's not my business. But having the opportunity to, you know, I'm going to be giving journals to people to be like, if anything came up during our session that you want to talk about with your therapist, you know, that they have that time to bring that to them. So I'm really excited. It's not really anything anybody's done before.
Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be really good.
Well, I think that's amazing because, like you're saying, there's so much. We're talking about anyone really that struggles with any chronic disease, you know, physical, mental, or otherwise. There's a lot of emotion there, and emotions. I mean, where do they go? They go right into your body, and they affect your muscles, and they affect how you feel, and you know, addiction and substance abuse and things like that really affect your body's ability to function as well. So I'm sure there's a lot of healing that can be done just through massage work and the things that you're there to provide. Besides just being in the presence of, we're really getting into the woo-woo here, but just being around positive people, there's that whole energy field thing, you know, that, and it can go both ways. So sometimes it's like, well, you gotta be careful, you know, who you spend too much time with because it can rub off in a negative way, but it can also rub off in a positive way. So choosing to be that person to somebody where I'm going to be around somebody that needs that positive energy. And I feel like that's really what you're choosing to do. You're choosing to be, you know, a healer and to come into the room with a positive, calming mentality and then help them work through some things. I wouldn't be surprised, and I can't wait to hear about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you have some people end up crying on the table because you're just releasing something, you know? Yeah.
It happens. Our issues are in our tissues.
Yeah. That's a hashtag right there. I love it. So tell me about your spa, because this is really going to be what allows you to do what you want to do.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yes. I am building a spa in a tiny house on wheels. Yep. I have the tiny house gel. So we're building out the inside and the out on a trailer, and I'm getting a preposterously huge truck to haul it around town in. Yeah. Erin Clarke is going to be getting like a Dodge Ram or something. But anyway.
You do what you got to do.
Right? Yeah. Until Tesla can make it a completely electric car and haul 14,000 pounds, here we are.
There you go.
So anyway, yeah. So it's actually going to be an office that I can drive and almost anywhere it'll fit. So I'll be able to do home visits. I'll be able to go to companies. I will be able to just drive it up to South Community Center, so they will have their talk therapy. They can come out to the parking lot, have their massage therapy, and go back up if they need. I'm so excited about it because, you know, my whole life I have been like, I have this free-spirited nature. I get restless, I get bored, I want to, you know, be able to, I don't want to be tied down, but I'm also a control freak. And usually those parts are warring, you know. And finally I've found a way to make peace between those two halves. Is I can go anywhere, but I can have all my stuff that I want to use on people. I can have my cups, I'll have my stones, I'll have, you know, I'll have all my stuff with me.
That's awesome. So you're providing a little bit more than massage though, I think. So can you kind of go into everything that's going to be offered in your spa?
Yeah. Well, we're doing massage treatments, and I'm doing meditation coaching. So for individuals and for groups, so I can really work one-on-one with people who are passionate about growing their practice outside of home. Sometimes it really helps to just have a person that like makes you make the time for that kind of thing. So I'm excited to offer that. And then I'm also doing some body treatments, which I'm psyched about. I'm kind of designing my own. They're going to be a little bit non-traditional. One of them is going to be, I'm doing a magnesium foot soak. So most people, as I'm sure you know, are pretty deficient in magnesium, and it's really well, it absorbs really well through the skin. So it's just going to be a nice treat that people can add on to the massage or just have it on their own. And it gives you a mega dose of magnesium. There's the soak portion and then an actual foot massage with the oil. And there's going to be like an herbal neck wrap, and it's going to be pretty good. And then
That
I'm
sounds
also,
wonderful.
yeah. And then one that's a little bit more unconventional is, I call it the Happy Pits Detox. And so all it is, it's a bentonite clay mask that I will actually be applying to people's underarms.
Okay.
And then with that comes a stick of my homemade all natural deodorant, because I know that it's really hard to find a natural deodorant that's effective. And nobody wants the aluminum and all the stuff that's absorbed into that area that has a lot of lymph nodes. We know that we're woke now. We don't want we don't
Right.
want stuff. And so what bentonite does, it actually draws aluminum and other contaminants from the skin because it's cationic. And so I don't know all of the details of what it pulls out of you, but I know it's amazing. I tried it on myself several times, and after doing the mask for only 5 minutes, I haven't had to wear deodorant anymore.
No way.
I don't smell. I know. Like, it just sounds like ridiculous, but I mean, I've worked with you at least twice without deodorant on, doing massage.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but no.
I hope you didn't notice. But yeah, no, it's incredible. Like I sometimes wear it if I just like want to smell a little bit like lavender. But yeah, it's really incredible.
Will your, maybe not upfront, but eventually will those kind of be things that are for sale on your website, or will people be able to get them from the spa and take them home?
A package that people could take home so that
Sure.
they can do that too. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be on my website. Once I build my website, it'll be on there. This, like, the story of what it is and how it works. Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, no, that's really awesome. And what you were saying about magnesium, oh my gosh. And it's so true. It's like, I think 60 or 70% of us are deficient in magnesium. And then, but what's awesome about it is how many things it can do for you. Like, if you even have like an inkling that you might be deficient in magnesium, you probably are. And it doesn't really matter how it's showing up for you, because there's over like 300 enzymatic processes that it helps initiate. So it's kind of important. And I mean, it can be from energy to sleep to anxiety. So all of the things that we want in our health and our wellness, and things that you would be working with on people, with their anxiety and relaxing, and it's perfect for that. So that's really great. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah.
So where can people find you right now? Where can they connect with you on social or?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page for Wise and Well Mobile Spa. That's my business, Wise and Well Mobile Spa. And then I'm also on Instagram. I do a lot of cross posting. So, and that is, Wise and Well Spa is my handle for that.
At Wise and Well Spa. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, if any of you are interested in connecting with her, make sure you get onto Instagram. And I did have one other question for you, because anyone that is in the Dayton, Ohio area should absolutely connect with you on Instagram and support you in building this tiny house, because it's going to be awesome, and I'm pretty excited about it. Erin's just the best massage person there is. But if you're not in Ohio and you can't get to Erin, what is maybe a tip for finding someone that's qualified? Because I know one of the things that I noticed when I met you was you're different. Every time I get a massage, it's different, because you're actually tailoring it to what I need that day. And that's very unique. Not a lot of, if you go to, I don't want to, throw a company under the bus, but if you go to like Massage Envy, that's not what's happening. You know what I'm saying? So what are some things maybe that people could look for if they're not in Ohio and they can't get in touch with you?
Well, if you're really looking for a tailored experience specifically to your body and goals, and trying to get results for a pain issue, then my best advice would be to look for somebody who is trained in neuromuscular therapy, who does assessment. You should definitely get assessed before you get on the table. That's not going to be found a lot in most spa environments.
Sure.
That's probably going to be more private practice. But most people, even in private practice, they have websites to take a look at, you know, the things that they've studied. Everybody says that they tailor massage to each person, you know, but when it's high volume establishments,
they don't have the time or the energy.
Right. We don't, I mean, I work at a high volume place right now, and I can tell you, I give mostly the same massage over and over again, just because I have 6 in a day. And
that's what I think most of the time that's what people expect when they come, like you're saying. Yeah. You're going to go to a spa and get it done versus having a private consultation. You can expect that it's going to be pretty generalized unless you specifically tell them you want this. But but if you hire someone individually, then they're going to kind of, that makes sense.
Neuromuscular therapy is awesome. And then myofascial release is such important work, and it can get amazing results. And people usually combine that with other modalities. A lot of sports massage therapists, they'll do myofascial release too. Okay. And so that's a good one, just to make sure they have it in their toolkit. We all have a toolkit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I have one final question for you. Yeah. So my hashtag is stop dieting and live your life. So that's sort of what I do with my clients, is I help them release sort of the diet mentality and figure out what foods are right for them so that they can just live and enjoy their life. Yeah, thank you. So that's my real passion, is helping people with their gut health and their chronic health, and figuring out how to just get out of the diet mentality. So in terms of what you do, and we talked about a bunch of different things, if you had to choose one thing from your perspective that would help someone in that area to stop dieting and sort of live their life, what would it be? I know I didn't prep you for that either, so take a minute. But what, from your perspective and the kind of work you do, what's one tip that you would have for people?
I would say, I think probably the most important thing is to notice your body, to just say hi to your body and all of its parts. Just giving your physical self just another minute of extra attention to notice what's going on with you is huge. It's, and that's the start of everything, really. That's the start of any kind of healing, is just paying attention to what you're physically feeling, and how you're able to move. That's how we're able to catch things before they get out of control, pain-wise. And that's also just a way to center and calm all the aspects of yourself, your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirit. I worked with somebody who I was giving her a massage, and before that she said that her knees had been hurting her really badly for months. And so I hadn't even gotten to her knees yet. I haven't gotten to her thighs. I was just working on her feet. And I said, "It looks like you walk on the outsides of your feet." She said, "Yeah, I guess I do." She didn't really realize it. And I was like, "Well, that can put a lot of strain on the outsides of your knees." And just that 30-second conversation made her pay attention to the way that she was walking. And her knees haven't hurt since. This was 2 years ago.
Wow.
And that wasn't even from massage. That was just from noticing.
Awareness, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's such a great tip, and so different, I think, than what a lot of people would say, but it fits so perfectly into the way I work with my clients, because they probably get tired of me saying it, because I'm posting about it, I'm talking to them about it all the time, and I constantly say, listen to your body, listen to your body, listen to your body, listen to your body. It's just not something that we're used to doing, and it has to become sort of a practice. So I'm so glad that you said that. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I think we just covered a plethora of really interesting topics that just kind of cover the board of health and wellness. And I think that's awesome. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.